50 minutes. Okay, so the beginning, Batman lures an alien monster that have been... A parademon that have been flying around the city by, I guess, being in the right place at the right time when a cat burglar is exiting a house.
Parademons are attracted to fear.
Right. So then Batman shoots him with the space gun, and the parademon blows up, and his guts on the wall show 3 mother boxes imprinted on the wall for no reason at all.
Correct.
And then we have an opening montage. Everybody knows by
Which
Leonard
feels like
Cohen.
a very Zack Snyder-y thing, but that wasn't in this version.
It wasn't in this version, no. It feels very much like the credit sequence to
Watchmen?
Watchmen, yeah. So then after the opening credits, 8 minutes in, Wonder Woman stops a terrorist bomb plot, which is contrary to her character arc in the theatrical version of you have been hiding in the shadows and not helping the world rid itself of crime or whatever.
That is not in this version
That is
at all.
not in the Snyder cut, that's in the theatrical. So Wonder Woman showing up to stop bomb threat doesn't make any sense.
Superman was a beacon to the world. Why aren't you? You're an inspiration, Diana. You don't just save people. You make them see their better selves. And yet, I never heard of you until Luthor lured you out by stealing a picture of your dead boyfriend. You shut yourself down for a century, so let's not talk about me moving on.
Then 11 minutes in, Bruce Wayne just walks up to find Aquaman. Because of the bug that he found in Gotham that had the 3 boxes on the wall. He's, there's some kind of threat.
I guess the point was to make the theatrical cut more self-contained for people that maybe didn't see Batman v Superman, because that's the movie where he has the vision of the post-apocalyptic future, which kind of ties in with this version.
Yes, I think that's the reason. It's something with Lex Luthor. He sees a vision of Steppenwolf in the 3 boxes.
Yeah.
And Batman has a dream, and so he thinks something's going to happen.
I think there's an attack coming.
Well, I know I remember Batman has a vision of the Flash.
Yes.
Which
Yeah,
that happens He too. thinks is a dream, but I think the implication is that Flash was actually coming back from some point in the future.
But in the Snyder cut, Batman's logic for assembling a team is 1, to make up for the loss of Superman, because he feels bad that Superman died, and 2, Lex Luthor warned him about the coming of Steppenwolf and or the threat of the mother boxes.
Right.
So that's that. In this, it's because he blew up a bug on a wall.
In the old one. When you
yes.
say this, that might be confusing.
In the theatrical, yes.
Yeah.
15 minutes in is when we're introduced to the Flash. He just shows up at prison to talk to his dad.
Yeah.
In the Snyder cut, it's 1 hour and 48 minutes.
Which was kind of shocking. Yeah.
I think I'm exaggerating.
No, it was an hour. It was an hour in. It was like part 3 or something.
Right. It was a while. 18 minutes intro of Cyborg. I think it's just him in his apartment.
His dad shows
up. His dad
up.
comes in. He's like, I'm the monster.
I'm Cyborg,
Blah, blah, blah.
man. I have nothing to do in this movie.
21 minutes, Amazon Land.
Oh, yeah.
The mother box has awoken. Theatrical cut, no reason why. Snyder cut, in the opening, it's Superman's death yell, which sends out like shock waves, and that awakens one of the mother boxes. So Steppenwolf just shows up.
I think in the theatrical cut, it's just the bad guys were like, okay, good. Now that Superman's dead, we can invade.
Yes, I think
Even though there was like thousands of years before there was a Superman where they could have invaded.
True. So the Amazonian mother box is awoken. Steppenwolf knows this and shows up. And they have a very, very shortened version of the battle in the theatrical version. The Snyder Cut version is much longer.
Oh, yeah.
You can argue whether or not it's necessary that it goes on for so long, but it's very, very truncated and shortened.
It was fine. None of the pacing of this was bothering me for like the first half. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
So that lasts for approximately 6 minutes. At the 27-minute mark is when Robin Wright shoots the arrow. I think she just says, light the fire. right?
And it just cuts
and it
to...
cuts to Diana Prince working on restoring a marble statue at the Louvre. And then on the screen, it shows the little, like, I don't know, it's like the Greek Parthenon or something's on fire.
I think, I don't know
It's
what
an
they
ancient thing.
I don't know what they say in the theatrical, but on this one they say
ancient-
it's an Amazonian shrine.
It's an ancient Amazonian thing. It's on fire. That means something to her. Snyder Cut, we have approximately 28-minute long scene where they open up the ceremonial case. They take out the ceremonial arrow. "29 minutes. We're introduced to Lois Lane and what she's up to. She is hanging out in the offices at the Daily Bugle, or what is it called? Daily Planet. And she's hanging out with Martha Kent.
This is pure Joss Whedon
This
bullshit.
is a totally different scene than that's in the Snyder Cut. We're introduced to pointless sexism in the workplace. I don't know if that's a commentary on anything.
That's Joss Whedon making fun of sexism because he's a feminist.
Right.
Hey, Lane, who was your source, the activist in that university?
What? It's my source.
A male coworker of Lois Lane comes in and says, "Lois, give me your source, doll, toots." And she's like, "I don't give away my sources." And then the male coworker says, "Come on, give me his name. Come on, you're not doing real stories anymore, doll." And she goes, maybe I'll think about it. I'll give you her name." And then the male coworker says, "Oh, it's a her?"
Who's your guy?
Well, I'll see if she'll take your call.
So it's a she.
"I bet she's got great gams. Go back to the kitchen and cook me dinner." And then he leaves. And then Martha Kent says, "Why don't you go back to work, Lois? It's been so long since Clark died." And she says, "I'm fine doing puff piece stories about cat weddings."
I'm perfectly happy doing fluff pieces about kitten grooming.
End scene.
It just ends.
Martha says the bank foreclosed on the house.
Okay, bye.
I shouldn't live there anymore. It's a big house. I'm shuffling around like an old ghost. End scene.
She says that literally as crew members are like pushing her out of the set. We're done, we're done.
They start tearing down the set to build like a CW show set or something. 30 minutes in, Cyborg is browsing the news, learns about Batman for some reason. It just cuts to him and he's like swiping like news stories and he sees pictures of Batman.
Oh, I don't even remember this. I just watched it.
That's so that Cyborg has a reason to know anything about anything that's going on.
Cyborg is the biggest casualty of the theatrical cut. He has nothing to do in the movie.
31 minutes in, Batman is met by Diana Prince. She recognizes that there's a problem because the ancient fire has been lit, and she shows up at the Batcave. Then, in the Snyder Cut, they do an extensive backstory.
A great armada appeared in the sky, laying waste to all who opposed it. The leader of the invaders was a being called Darkseid, a name cursed and feared in every universe. Darkseid was met in battle by Earth's defenders, the old gods, men, Atlanteans before their descent into the sea, Amazons before their betrayal and enslavement, and guardians from the stars.
It's really unfortunate when you give all your exposition to Gal Gadot.
Not to hope for an alliance, to fight apart.
Yeah. I'm going to let Sir Ian McKellen read my exposition. They're in a park.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're just walking by a lake or something.
The Snyder Cut, they are not in a park. The Joss Whedon extra scenes, they wrap it up real quick, and they're just strolling through a park, and Cyborg is spying on them.
Yes.
So Wonder Woman does this long epic story, and she concludes with such harmony out of such horror. It was truly an age of heroes. And then Batman says, something tells me we're not getting the band back together.
Something tells me we're not getting the band back together.
And then Diana Prince says, all we have are left are the tribes of man. Batman says, I wouldn't count on the tribes of man. They act like the doomsday clock has a snooze button.
Why would you ever write dialogue like that for Batman?
Well, I wouldn't count on the tribes of men. We tend to act like the doomsday clock has a snooze button.
Batman has been around for, 80 years? And Batman has had one good one-liner.
Okay, so we have 32 minutes exposition dump by Wonder Woman. The 3 mother boxes will open a portal to Hell World. Something like that, right? Bad guy with horns, Steppenwolf, 3 mother boxes, put them together, open a portal to Hell World. Snyder Cut, a little more complicated than that. Well, there's an extra layer with the Darkseid character and all this, and the runes that are on the planet Earth. Well,
that's a revelation later.
Anti-life equation, we'll get into that. A minute later, Bruce recruits Barry Allen at his hideout. The scene's pretty much the same.
Except for the excessive dialogue about brunch.
Yeah, Barry Allen's explaining why he doesn't like people, but he's like, yeah, I'll join. Why not? A minute later, Wonder Woman recruits Cyborg.
Does Barry Allen do anything heroic before the recruitment scene in the theatrical cut?
No.
Okay.
No.
That really, really great scene in this version, the introduction to Flash, the best scene in the movie.
That's a great scene.
It's fantastic. Is he going to save all those hot dogs, though?
Not in the Snyder cut.
That would be in the Bryan Singer cut. Oh, maybe.
Oh. Not used to humor in a Zack Snyder film. And I even joked about, I was like, they're not going to do this, but he should do something with the hot dogs. And he grabs a hot dog and feeds it to the puppies because he's a good guy. It's wonderful. I was not expecting that from a Zack Snyder film.
That was a superhero cover.
Yeah.
He wasn't just doing that out of kindness. It was hey,
it's serious.
I've just been here feeding the dogs this whole time. What happened out there?
It's great. It legitimately made me laugh out loud, which is not something I was expecting from a Zack Snyder film.
Well, then right after that is when Cyborg's father, Miles Dyson, is kidnapped, right? And then there's a bunch of they say 9 or 10 people from the lab got kidnapped. And Steppenwolf, he snaps one person's neck. And there's extra dialogue in the theatrical version where people are going, I have a family, I have a family. He goes, why does everybody keep saying they have a family? And it's that's a really funny line. Why did you shoot that?
I think that's an attempt to make up for the fact, because that's, even though I, for the most part, like the Snyder Cut, it still has the problem that his other movies do, which is that Zack Snyder does not give a fuck about normal people. He cares about the superheroes, and he treats them as gods or higher beings, and he seems to have a fetish for them, and he doesn't give a shit about people.
Right.
So the Joss Whedon version was well, you gotta have some humanity.
Civilians. Barry's headed. There's too many of them.
Hence the introduction of the Russian family.
Which is horribly tagged on.
There is a poor Russian family that live outside of a nuclear power plant that melted down, and the whole area is toxic. And they make some kind of comment in the theatrical that, oh, the area is dead. It's a miserable. Who would want to live there? Oh, people that are struggling and poor and whatever. And then
so you feel sympathy for this family that you don't know at all.
Yeah, we're introduced to them. The little girl has a can of bug spray because she sees the monster outside the window. And later on in the film, Flash saves them, and Superman saves the
entire building
apartment
of people.
building.
And the joke is how pathetic Flash is.
Yes.
Yep.
Even though Flash saves the day in the Snyder Cut. Yeah. Without him, everyone would be dead.
Yes. Well, we're talking about the theatrical cut, Mike.
Right.
Still. We're still talking about the theatrical cut.
Hour 2 minutes, the Justice League hangs out in a bat cave. They talk about the mother box, kind of exposition. This is 1 hour. Bruce, 1 hour 6 minutes, Bruce discusses with Alfred why Superman being back is important. I think these are newly shot scenes because it's a different location. It's like that room with the suits of armor on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And there's like lounge chairs.
Oh yeah, you can tell that's a reshot scene because Ben Affleck's looking a little bloated.
Yeah, and they talk about the sonic device. The he keeps playing around with this like sound wave thing that affects the bug monsters that is completely not in the Snyder Cut.
Well, in theatrical, they also added in this whole thing with Batman and Wonder Woman and tension in the team.
Yes, he's making fun of her. He calls her an idiot for loving Steve Rogers.
Which he's right in this case.
Yeah, and then that's his he's like poking her. He's like yeah, you've been doing nothing for 100 years, crying over your boyfriend Hayden, when you should be out there being a hero.
Like she was in the beginning of the movie.
You needed that scene. You could cut that out.
Yeah, it's so weird for all the stuff that you're trying to cut out of a movie to make it shorter, and Joss Whedon just keeps adding in new stuff, which doesn't make it. I mean, he still got it down to 2 hours, but it's like, does this new stuff add anything beneficial to the movie?
No.
They try to excuse Superman coming back temporarily evil for no reason by having the character speculate that it might happen, even though they would have no reason to believe that might happen.
Yeah, that's true.
In the Zack Snyder cut, it just happens, and it's nonsensical there.
Well, it's like he doesn't remember who he is. He's disoriented.
He's groggy.
It just felt like an excuse to have a fight.
It is. That's the most excessive scene in either cut of the movie.
That was
it ultimately
my favorite part.
Arthur, we need to restrain him.
But story-wise, it's the least important thing to happen.
Story-wise, bringing Superman back is the least important thing to happen. The focus should be we got to stop the Steppenwolf, and both versions. It takes a sidetrack into we've got to resurrect Superman. Now that's the most important thing. I'm like, well,
I think it's pretty well balanced in the Snyder Cut.
It's balanced in the Snyder Cut. I agree with Jay. And because here's I have the two versions in my head, right? The Snyder Cut, when Superman comes back, it's a heroic entrance. The Steppenwolf is about to hit Cyborg with his axe, and Superman blocks it, and then he beats up Steppenwolf. In the theatrical version, it's like, oh God, Superman's here now.
Nobody else has anything to do.
Nobody else has anything to do, and he could just kill Steppenwolf instantly. But they're like, oh my God, there's poor Russian people that need our help. Superman and the Flash, go help them, so that Steppenwolf can continue fighting us. That's literally what happens. In the Snyder Cut, they have the whole thing where the mother box takes over and Cyborg is unable to stop it. The portal opens up and basically Superman loses. And the Flash is the one who has to save everybody by reversing time. Yeah. So really, it's not like in the theatrical version. It's Superman shows up and it's like,
no, nobody else is.
He's just going to punch the bad guy to death. Like in this, it's more balanced where they all are a team.
I agree. That's fixed somewhat in the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, and it's set up better too because we laughed at the mother box scene in Resurrecting Superman.
The mother box is ready. You have to charge it the moment it touches the fluid.
In the theatrical version, where it's like, it has to touch the amniotic fluid at the precise moment that you zap it with electricity.
And they treat it like this important thing, where it's like, if they don't have the timing right, they can just do it again.
Splashes. Okay, throw it back up. Try it again. But in this, the Flash is like a second too late, but he goes so fast that he reverses time for just a second and does it, which is setting up what he does later in the film. Mm-hmm. So it serves that. And whether or not Superman comes back as disoriented and mad, I'm fine with that. I have notoriously bad taste in movies sometimes. And so when superheroes fight each other and not like Nameless Monster of the Week, I find that more interesting. Like when the Avengers end up like having to fight with one another for some reason, I find it fun.
It's a fun scene in this version, but it's also the least important scene in the film.
Of course.
But then, yeah, at the end of this version, the Snyder Cut, the one who has the least amount to do is Batman, because he's just a guy, so he's just kind of shooting demons.
Rich, meanwhile, someone is getting mugged in Gotham.
Although he's useful at one point, but
He saves Flash's life, which is kind of important.
that's
but,
the one thing he can do.
But really, he spends most of that end fight just not a part of things.
Which is fine, because everybody else has these superpowers that are super important to what they're trying to accomplish. And he's just Batman.
Oh my God!
He cut his horn off!
Jesus fucking Christ!
1 hour, 20 minutes. This is our start of our third act, which this has a more traditional structure. This is the low point. Heroes aren't getting along.
Don't do that.
We just got our asses handed to us. And Steppenwolf has got the third box.
Steppenwolf now has all 3 boxes. The Superman resurrection went poorly. There's a heart-to-heart with Batman and Wonder Woman. They talk about leadership. Superman reflects on being back alive. Gonna make things right, etc., etc.
I'm the idiot who left. But I'm back now. And I'm gonna make things right.
Lois Lane convinces Superman not to be mad.
Your mother got behind on the payments. She never told anyone.
I don't understand.
You better cover up. You look terrible. You should get to the gym more often. Now, Superman's line.
Oh yeah, they have a touching scene at the Kent farm.
What was it like? Coming back?
What was it? Lois Lane asked Superman, what was it like coming back? And Superman says, itchy.
Itchy.
How much money did they spend for Joss Whedon and all of those reshoots?
I want to say it was in the 100 million-ish range.
Okay, so 100-ish million for these jokes.
Yeah.
I have a few others.
And then, well,
Let's read the $100 million jokes.
Okay, so when the Justice League shows up to confront evil Superman, the Flash says in an 80-yard line, should we bow or show our bellies?
Oh no. Should we bow? Or show our bellies?
10 million.
Aquaman to Batman. You're out of your mind. Batman responds, I'm not the one that brought a pitchfork.
Oh, they had to go back to that location. They had to get all those extras back.
that's the most baffling thing.
20 million.
Okay.
20 million.
Superman says to Batman, I knew you didn't bring me back because you like me.
Well, I knew you didn't bring me back because you like me.
Batman awkwardly responds, I don't not.
$8.7 million.
Superman, on ripping apart the boxes, asks Cyborg, any blowback? Cyborg says, big time, but I think we could take it. Superman says, good, because I really like being alive.
Any blowback?
Big time. But I think we could take it.
Good. So I really like being alive.
Now, they already had Henry Cavill and Cyborg back for the reshoots, but there was some CGI involved.
They had to take out the mustache. Yeah.
$5.9 million.
It's not over yet, Rich.
Oh,
The blowback happens, the mother boxes are ripped apart, Superman lands on the ground and says,
I take it back. I want to die. Man, my toes hurt. I don't even understand the physics of how my toes hurt.
Children. I work with children.
oh, $7 million.
these aren't jokes, by the way, these are the actual lines from the theatrical cut. We need more humor in this dark, depressing, post-apocalyptic nightmare horror film.
See, that's the thing, especially now seeing the Snyder Cut. It's not that dour. It's not Batman v
No,
Superman
no,
dour.
no.
It would have been, I think this would have gone over pretty well theatrically if you could just shorten that runtime. You might have to do a couple of reshoots to just condense some things and connect some scenes, but the amount of bullshit. So they spend all that money for the Joss Whedon stuff, and then that movie comes out and it doesn't do great. So then they spend another $70 million for Zack Snyder to finish this version, which was the original version to begin with. It's just like mind-boggling, the waste of money.
I kind of suspect they added some shit into the Snyder version that they just spent an extra $70 million on, just to tease some more. Like, would you like some more of this?
Well, from what I understand, to finish this version, Zack Snyder he didn't get paid. He wanted creative control to finish this the way he wanted to.
Okay.
And so I guess we'll talk about spoilers here. We'll talk about the end of the movie, which is completely tacked on. They shot it a few months ago. Ben Affleck looks completely different than he does in the rest of the movie. So the last like 10, 15 minutes of this movie feels like self-indulgent, excessive, pointless, tiresome Zack Snyder like wankery.
More adjectives.
I'm trying to do it justice. Trying
to do a Justice League.
Trying to do a Justice League, because the last, it's a complete wet fart of an ending, and it really deflates a lot of goodwill that the movie has built up.
Yeah. Anything post, like there's that heroic shot where they're all standing on top of the...
Cut to credits.
Yeah.
Right there.
There's this bizarre futuristic dream sequence where Batman is in a post-apocalyptic world with Deathstroke, Amber Turd, the Flash, who has
looks like he's
like an Iron Man face,
different actor.
It's like a different actor, or a very brief CGI face of the Barry Allen actor, whatever his name is, Ezra Miller. Yeah, and then they keep saying she's dead. Are they talking about Wonder Woman? I don't know.
No, they're talking about Lois.
Lois. Oh, okay. Oh, Lois is the key to all this.
Because Superman shows up at the end of that to kill everyone.
He's mad. And then there's spaceships, and so it's like... and
then, of course, Jared Leto's Joker.
The Joker's there as a prisoner. He has information they need.
It's all so completely disconnected from the rest of the movie.
Oh.
It's so clearly tacked on. Like, if it was a post-credit scene, whatever, fine. But actually putting it as the ending of this movie just leaves you, like, I think we all just had, like, baffled looks on our faces for that entire ending.
Maybe, in a way, that smelly old flounder is right. Because how many can die in your arms before you grow numb to death?
There's like 3 post-credit scenes. There's the original one, Deathstroke and Lex Luthor on the yacht. And there's the Batman dream sequence, and then there's 2021 Ben Affleck, or whatever, 2020 Ben Affleck in his glass house.
Where he looks like a cancer victim.
He visibly looks 5 to 6 years older.
Yeah.
And he looks very tired.
He looks like he just got broken up with and then dropped his Dunkin' Donuts.
Leave the man alone.
Aww.
He has trouble picking up his Dunkin' Donuts order. We all have bad days. He looks like he doesn't want to be there. He looks tired. He doesn't want to be the Batman anymore. Now it's Robert Pattinson's job. Yeah, and
but then
so
Martian Manhunter shows up.
A character named Martian Manhunter shows up.
Can I help you?
Which Rich recognized.
But it completely confused you two.
Well, yeah, he shows up earlier in the film.
The second time he shows up, the first time he shows up is really confusing.
It's after a very nice scene between Ma Kent and Lois Lane.
And it's the Snyder Cut's version of that awful Daily Planet scene, but it's actually, like, dramatic.
It's pretty good. And Amy Adams is a great actor, and she does good. You kind of forget that Superman sucks in Man of Steel. You're like, oh, she likes Superman.
Basically, Martha Kent shows up to Lois Lane's apartment. They have this whole scene. Then Martha Kent walks out of Lois Lane's apartment and turns into the Martian Manhunter.
It was so weird. Oh my God.
What's that? What? Oh. Is she a proto-demon or whatever?
Martian Manhunter?
Is that who that is? What does this mean, Rich? What's happening?
I am very confused. And it just kind of ruined that whole wonderful scene that those two characters just had.
Yeah, I mean, the emotions of Lois Lane are still legitimate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird to have Martha Kent turn into a Martian Manhunter man.
Chop his dick off!
Cut him in
Chop
half.
his head off!
She's going to.
Yeah, baby.
And then Darkseid's back there just watching.
Zack Snyder.
Well, that's the I don't know, third plot. The biggest plot is that Darkseid, and he goes around with the mother boxes, conquering planets, turning them into his own planet, a copy of, but his ultimate goal is to find the equation, the anti-life equation, which is basically like a rune, magical rune.
It's a MacGuffin that will, I guess, destroy all life, so he can recreate the universe in his own image.
Something big and apocalyptic and bad, but Steppenwolf is told by the mother boxes that the rune is on Earth, and then Martian Manhunter knows this somehow, and he wants to get involved and says the real fight is coming next.
I'm sure you know Darkseid is not finished with Earth. The anti-life equation is here somewhere. We have to find it before he does.
But watch out for Lex Luthor. he's planning a diamond heist. You just get Jesse Eisenberg out of the film. Like, you can't go back after apocalypse endings. Like this.
You start with that, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about this plenty of times, but that was the problem with this DC cinematic universe to begin with, is that they rushed into too much of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a movie to establish each character. But when you see this version, the Snyder Cut, even though it's technically one movie, it does a good job of spending time on all these characters that we know now because we've seen the theatrical cut of Justice League. But
It's
if you look
4
at
hours
this, if you look at this as its own thing, everybody gets plenty to do. You understand all their motivations. You like them. Cyborg is pretty good in this. He's nothing in the theatrical cut.
I guess the real question is what do you get out of this? What are we getting out of this?
Well, Zack Snyder fans are getting their wet dream out of this, because I'll say that if you've been one of those people that have been like #release the Snyder Cut for years.
Oh yeah.
One, you're a little too aggressive about it, but you got what you wanted, and I can't imagine them not liking this.
They're going to be super fucking smug about it.
That's true.
I'm sure they're all going, see, I told you, see, I told you.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, it's better, but it's still not my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, but that's the same thing with me. It's like I can see, and I find the behind-the-scenes stuff much more fascinating. I watch this and I'm like, oh my God, there's like
you're just picturing all the editing and the decision-making.
And all the work gone into the graphics, and then just someone going, oh, we just threw that out.
Yeah.
You worked on that for 6 months, that one shot of this guy, and all the armor on the bad guy, and now they changed his look. Just all the fucking work that was just thrown in the trash and changed around, and it's just like, it boggles the mind. And the amount of money spent, the time wasted, all these like spineless studio executives going like,
for a movie that was fine to begin with.
I enjoyed this Snyder Cut way more because it took its time, and the first version, it's like, why should I care about this guy with horns? They got to stop the guy with horns.
Because he wants to take over the Earth.
Yeah, and then it's just like, I don't care. And then if you don't care about your heroes, or you don't like them and they're rushed, then their goal of stopping a guy with horns from opening a portal is pointless. But this fleshed out the heroes more, and the bad guy, he had more scenes too. Let's not forget.
I think so. Yeah.
He
well, not just more scenes, but yeah, he had more motivation.
He had a Napoleonic complex.
Yeah, exactly. He was trying to please his boss, basically.
There was something. There was something
there. He's not Thanos.
No.
He's not as interesting as Thanos, but there's something there. And I think that's, for me, I liked a lot. All the parts worked better than it did as a whole.
Yeah.
Like there's lots of really wonderful scenes. We talked about that Flash scene, which was great. That was the best scene of the movie. It reminded me of like the earlier Zack Snyder stuff where he had like in like Watchmen or something, with these really visual sequences. And I don't remember a lot of that from Man of Steel or Batman v Superman. It just felt like a bunch of like noise. It's just a bunch of nonsense. That last hour of Man of Steel is just a fucking nightmare.
Right, and that's what has given Zack Snyder a bad vibe for us.
Oh yeah, I haven't liked any of his movies,
Well,
the DC movies until
the DC movies,
until this one.
He's done other good movies, but
The Wonder Woman sequence this is like one of the best action scenes he's ever done. The bomb.
Oh yeah.
The expanded bomb sequence.
Until the excessive collateral damage at the end of the sequence.
Except for that finale,
which
but
is very Zack Snyder. That's a lot of collateral damage to stop one guy.
Couldn't she just punch him like she punched the other guys? I mean, she's faster than bullets.
So just push him out the window.
Yeah. Just bonk him on the head. Oh, apparently she killed him?
Just break his arm.
No, you gotta blow out the entire front of the building. Look at that!
Look at that priceless piece of architecture.
She did more damage than the bomb.
But yeah, I mean, so all these wonderful scenes and good characters, and they all given time to develop. But at the end of the day, the plot isn't that different from the theatrical, and it's just big monster man wants to get things to destroy Earth.
But the progression of the events at the end made more sense.
Oh yeah, everything made more sense.
It didn't seem as like confusing and like, why is this happening? Like when Superman returns and the mother boxes and the Flash doing his circle of energy and all those like working components, it didn't seem like as just chaotic and pointless as it did in the theatrical version.
It's still, it gets pretty excessive at the end. It turns into noisy punch fest, but...
It was a 4-hour long movie. I'm okay with an excessive noisy punch fest at the end because it has lots of slower moments that build us to that reward of action at the end.
I think, I liked a lot of scenes and character stuff. I just didn't give a shit about the overall plot. And that's the biggest weakness of the movie.
And while he's better in this version, I still don't like Steppenwolf that much as a villain.
Like, exactly my thoughts too. Yeah. He's not an interesting villain. That's why I like the part where they fight Superman. that should have been the whole movie.
Well, that was a storyline in the comics, right? Wasn't there bad Superman for a while?
I know they definitely did that in one of the cartoons. Yes, but like alternate universes, they've done shit like
I guess
that.
Anything you can think of, they've probably done at some point.
Jay, they've had over 50 ape characters in DC Comics. So.
Fluent in sign language, gorilla sign language.
Can we take a moment to talk about the DC ape characters?
Rich, can you name them all? Go.
Oh God, I can name a few of them.
Go.
Gorilla Grodd, the Ultra Human Knight, Titano, who's a gorilla with a kryptonite vision. He shoots kryptonite rays out of his eyes. There's Gleek from the Super Friends. And there's Detective Chimp, who is a hyper-intelligent, immortal chimp that drank from the fountain of life, and he can communicate with any animal, and he has a detective business. Oh, and then Superman has Beepo, the super monkey.
Beepo is just the perfect name for a superhero monkey.
An interesting note, though, in the Cyborg flashbacks, when he's playing football for Gotham City Community College or something.
Whatever it is.
He's playing against the Badgers, the Wisconsin logo on their helmet. And,
Go Badgers!
And I was like, oh, hey, isn't that the Badgers? And I looked it up, and Zack Snyder hails from Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Had no idea.
The home of the Green Bay Packers. Zack Snyder originally said that he wanted Gotham to instead of shooting in Chicago, he wanted to shoot it in Green Bay. But then they realized that Green Bay was just Lambeau Field and about 150 bars.
There's not even any houses. Everybody just lives in the bars.
It just doesn't look like Gotham, Zach. But to maybe help quell some confusion, let's talk about